And we are live. Musty Wargamers Season 6, Episode 13. Hey,
Yes,
everybody.
it is. Howdy ho, everybody.
Looks like we got a couple people in the house already. We've got Farmer Dan has joined us again, and which is awesome. And we've got both Chris and Brad in the house so far.
Chris, Brad.
Yes, indeed. Another exciting day. Or another exciting evening is the Musty Wargamer Show.
Dun, dun,
How's
dun.
everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I can't complain either. Yeah.
We have another person.
All right.
X.
Hey there, how's it going?
He's local to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. One of your
Maybe
group
we'll see the
members? Or...
comments.
I've met Brad, Lord Draconum, in real life. I don't think I've met X and X before. Nope, but I know Brad has.
Yeah.
From the chatting.
And we got various silent mouses in the house.
All right.
Nice.
So
all right, got a good amount of people already
showing up. Yeah, so what has everybody been up to this last 2 weeks?
Well, Dan, did you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, hard to believe it's been 2 weeks. Yeah, like I talked last time, I'm deep in the busiest part of my work season, so it's really put the hobby time to the back burner, but I'm getting close to getting that kind of whipped. So, but I did still painting on my not much to see, but on my Warlord Games or War Games Factory. Yeah, the British. So I've got another set of 8 that I've got just about done, and I'm really having a lot of fun with it. I've actually learned a few things on these miniatures that make them look a lot better. Their positioning looks more natural, and a couple of things I trim off that I think helps out a lot. So so I've been kind of working on them, and that has been basically it. It's the first time in months that I went about 5 nights that I didn't come down at all because I just got in so late. But we did have a rain there over the weekend, so I did paint a bunch on Sunday, and still having tons of fun with it. Every year the first weekend of June is a tournament in Omaha that I go to for bolt action. I've done it for 5 or 6 years now. It's a fundraiser for a high school in Omaha.
Oh, wow.
And it's always been a really great tournament. But I was looking this year, I just bought my ticket here a week ago, and it looks like, unless I'm not seeing it right, it looks like they've hardly sold any tickets for the Bug Eater portion. So I'm a little bummed if they're going to end up and have to cancel it.
What does the Bug Eater mean?
Bug Eater just is the name of the tournament, and what it actually traces back to. I think at one point that was like a mascot in either Omaha or Nebraska. Was it instead of the Cornhuskers, were they like the Nebraska Bug Eaters? It was
like the Tar Heels. Does that have anything to do with the college?
Yeah.
College or
anything? Yeah, it was some sort of a nickname for a team or.
It was the local motorcycle club.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was probably that too, but it was it was something to do with. But anyway, that's the reason they just randomly picked it, I think. But
okay.
But it's a tournament they have every year. The high school. I mean, not every year, but they've done it for. I'll bet it's been 8 years now, and I think I've gone about 5 or 6. It's always the first weekend of June, and they do Kings of War, Horus Heresy. They do 40K. They do Marvel. Crisis, Marvel, whatever that is.
Crisis Protocol.
They have it. There's hundreds of people that go to this tournament. It's really well done. they had some trouble. Of course, COVID, they canceled the 1 year. And then they had, I don't know, they had a couple things kind of happen that I think there were some people a little dissatisfied with how it turned out. So numbers were down just a tick last year, but I don't know what happened this year, but it's always one of those things, everybody's got so many, there's people actually were coming to it from Illinois, Missouri.
So is it just the
Nebraska,
bolt action component
Iowa.
that's down? Is it just the bolt action component that's down? Or
Looks
all
like
of it?
just the bolt. Yeah, it looks like just the bolt action portion. It looks like a lot of them, just when I look, it always shows, like if you go into the ticket section, it shows how many tickets are available. And I kind of did a quick peruse when it first got posted. And it looks like a lot of the ticket sales are down, but the bolt action looks like it's only sold just a handful, just a few.
Because the Marvel's pretty popular right now.
Yeah, and actually it looks like those tickets have sold. Kings of War is sold.
There's a large component coming from Des Moines that are heading over for
and that
Kings
was
of
there
War.
were people coming from all over. Like I said, there was probably five states represented for the bolt action portion. And last year the numbers were down just a little bit, but I think we still had like 20 some. At the peak, it was up around 40. Yeah, it was quite, and all the tables were incredible. It was really well run. The TO, there was 2 different TOs through the years, and they both did a really nice job. He changed the format this year too, so I don't know if that screwed some people off, or there were several groups that would come from their club would come from Minnesota and their club would come from Chicago. And I don't know if by chance, a reason why those, because that was probably 8 people that would come with those 2 groups. Mm-hmm. And if they didn't come for a reason, or who knows, but I'd be disappointed because I always look forward to that, because the first weekend of June was always kind of my when things were starting to kind of slow down, because March, April, May are usually like pretty crazy for my work. And so I always that's always kind of my thing I'm looking forward to, after the work's over. And I spent all this last year painting up my Soviet Army, just for any reason, but that was kind of my self-imposed deadline goal, was to have it ready for the tournament.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I was going to take them. I played 1 game with Mark with them. But I don't go, I'm usually kind of middle of the pack. I don't, I'm not overly competitive, and I don't build incredibly competitive lists, but it's a 2-day tournament. So you get 5 games in. Everybody's stuff is always, just about everybody's army is incredibly painted. The tables are gorgeous. And so it's just a fun weekend. You're going to get 5 games regardless of how well you play. And they usually had really good prize support. Like, everybody walked away with a bunch of stuff. And so it was just a fun experience,
Sure.
Getting together and it was kind of each year, there were always some new guys. And then there were always some of the same ones would always come back. So it was kind of a reunion, see everybody, what they've been up to, what they've been painting, what their lives are, what they got going on. But so we'll see what happens. But it's starting to get, today's the 11th of May, and I think it's on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, whatever that first weekend, Saturday, Sunday is. And it looks like not many tickets have sold. I was going to reach out to the TO and see, if I'm seeing that right. So, but anyway.
So can you actually not? Can you get it back, your money back, if nobody joins?
I presume so, because it's just a fundraiser through a high school, and they do it through PayPal. So I'm assuming you can get it back. I'm not overly concerned. Like I told my wife, I said, it looks like they've only sold a few. She's like, well, yeah, and probably everybody else is saying that too. So, maybe you need to buy one, and then somebody else buys one. And, that's been looking at it thinking, well, they're not selling any tickets. And worst case scenario, you donate it to the school. So.
Oh, yeah. Whatever. Oh, so like you'll go either way, or you'll.
Well, no, if they don't have the bolt action portion, I won't go. But it's whatever. It's a donation.
Yeah.
It's not like it's $6,000.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So anyway,
Doesn't cost like you're going
It's
to
only
Gen Con.
4.9. Yeah. I think the entry fee was like $65 or something like that. It used to be like 55. It keeps creeping up. You could still get them for 65, but now I see that sale price is off, which isn't going to get more people to buy because it's up to 75 now. So I'm like, that's because some of those people coming in, they had to buy hotel rooms for 2 nights and meals and that pass. And so I mean, they were probably dropping, $300, $400, $500 time they were all said and done.
Yeah, that's good.
But anyway, it's been good fun in the past. I'm hoping it's not coming. And then my buddy Mark around here, the guy I do game with close by, he's got some child.
He was here last time, I think, wasn't he? Or was he the time before that? Wasn't he on the show once recently?
Nah, I don't think
we got 2 Smiths.
Oh, you know what? That always messes me up. That always messes me up because I think of Smitty. Because when you mention Mark, it's Smitty.
Yeah, it's Smitty M14.
But there's another Smitty too.
Yes.
And I don't know why.
I'm friends with both of them.
Yes.
In some ways, I only really have a visual picture of Smitty from YouTube. Like I know he hasn't been on YouTube in a while, but I visually think of him when I think of Smitty. So even though I see your friend, sometimes I think of him when he's talking. It's funny.
Which is interesting is that Mark had his pictures of his kid talking to the cattle.
Yep. And so he's got to watch his son that weekend. So that'd be the first time. We've always gone together. So that's one less ticket, and then of course but all good things sometimes must come to an end, right?
Yeah.
Looks like Tim's in the house.
Yes, Tim.
Oh, hey, Tim. Yep. So that's me.
That's what you've been up to, and your drink of choice tonight is water.
It's already
done. Water.
I'm
beyond dehydrated.
For me, I don't know. I did put some stuff up on my video, but I mean, I'll show one of the 3. But I do have. I had a couple things that I finished over the weekend, and so I actually did finish these guys that I've been painting on the show for a while, and so like really happy with them. And so I'm really looking forward to using these in a game. And so, so there's that. And then I have, these guys didn't show up too well on my YouTube video. I guess I didn't focus in well enough. Maybe it's because it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're so small. But but I have the Wasp, who I finished, and the smaller versions, and Ant-Man.
Nice.
And so I finished those for the Crisis Protocol, Marvel, as well as they each come with like a little mini version that you can use in game too, which is so cool.
That's awesome.
So excited to try them in the game. I really love that game. And then I think I showed my project I'm doing with Mordheim, and this is a 3D printed ogre. I'm actually gonna my goal for tonight, because I showed I'm running Beastmen, big surprise, but I'm running like a Mordheim specific Beastman group right now. But I'm doing a painting project for a human based Empire based mercenaries band. The oh gosh, I'm losing my mind, but it's not Mindenheim. Oh gosh, Marienburg. They're the ones that I'm doing for Warhammer. So I have tonight. I actually have the ogre and 3 of their specific models they sold for Mordheim for the Marienburg, 2 Youngbloods and a champion that I'm actually making tonight on the show. I'm making bases that I'm going to turn into cobblestone bases, and then I'm going to I'm going to put the ogre on this one, and then I have little ones that I'm going to do for those 3. So if I can get the cobblestone, I'm using epoxy sculpt, and if I can get the cobblestone bases ready and get them, really I'm just going to take an impression, I think, kind of just get them ready to go on them, and I'm going to do that tonight. If I get time to do it, I'm either going to start working up some additional miniatures in plastic, but I think what I might do is just on the end of the show, I think what I'm just going to do is break up some of this glass and actually make some bases that are weird stone. and paint them up for the game to be able to have some weird stone bases. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And gaming, so I had a Mordheim game since I mentioned on my video, but that was since our last show, which that was sort of just a getting back into a game. Really enjoyed that. It was fun. And then that's about it. I have a Mordheim game scheduled and a Warhammer Fantasy Battle game scheduled for the near future. And so I'll do those. And so that's it about that. Yeah. So lots of Warhammer Fantasy right now. So whether it be Mordheim or Warhammer Fantasy Battles, it's lots of Warhammer Fantasy that I'm doing. I'm drinking Coors Light as my main drink of choice tonight.
Coors.
Silver Bullet.
Okay. And then also for the end of the show, because this kind of goes down like water, the Coors Light.
Yes.
I'm going to dip in to some Tory.
Oh, nice.
Good stuff.
Yeah, some Tory.
That's a repeat. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this one I probably have only had one little sip out of this. This is practically a new bottle because I finished the other one.
It goes down pretty good.
Yeah. So that's about it for me. But, actually what I would say is the meter, which kind of waxes and wanes of my painting, because you see, like when you said that you hadn't painted in, you said you hadn't painted in 5 days. Or did you say that you've painted every day, and except for, is that what you said? You hadn't painted in 5 days? That to me is like completely normal. Like, like I'm actually, so the very fact that I'm kind of starting to paint, a little more often, like maybe twice a week now,
okay.
And that's actually good. And like, like that's been really good. And so like for me, like that doesn't seem like a lot probably for a lot of people that are watching, but I've been in a major funk. Like sometimes I don't paint for every 2 weeks. So the fact that I'm painting twice a week is actually pretty good. And so the fact that I have, exactly. I might actually kind of,
get something done.
The very fact that I'm thinking about stuff and like enjoying it is kind of different.
Yeah. Well, and it does. The interest or the passion kind of comes and goes, and it depends what else you've got going on in your life as well. But
it's not. And I have other things that I want to do for sure. But I feel like I always love the Marvel in addition to the Warhammer Fantasy stuff. But and I do feel like I do want to do a bit more historical again. But I will say that like doing the skirmish and the big battle for the Warhammer Fantasy is kind of fun. Like I'm enjoying that. Like I can just pick up these human-based miniatures. It reminds me, even though they're not the same as what you do, Dan, it reminds me of like I don't have an army. I've never had like a Warhammer-based army that were humans, like And so the fact that I'm
really,
yeah. So like the very fact that I'm just painting like a war band that's like human-based, like I can use some of my historical techniques, like to paint some of the skin tones and do some of that. It's kind of fun, like and then the flamboyant colors. It reminds me of your Bretonians a bit because the Marienburg have like really flashy colors and stuff, and so it's
are they the black and yellow? Or are they?
They're blue and yellow with red.
Oh, blue and yellow.
And so the best I can tell, it's primarily blue and yellow with the accents red. But then some of them do have some bold red colors too. So they were apparently the merchant group. Like you were allowed to start with more money. Like I thought about that and I was kind of disappointed because I was a little disappointed. Their special ability compared to the other mercenaries is getting more money, which is no joke in Mordheim. Like starting with
Batman
money. Yeah, sure. Exactly.
What's your superpower? I'm rich.
They're Iron Man. Iron Man is their superpower. Batman. I guess, like, to me, I like advantages in gameplay. And so, like, some of them have advantages, like, to their statistics and the gameplay.
Right.
Like, that's what I think of.
It's more interesting.
So when I saw, because I liked the miniatures and I chose Marienburg for a number of different reasons, but it wasn't really gameplay. But when I saw that their superpower was that they get to start with a little more money,
I
was initially kind of turned off a bit by it, but then I thought about it.
Better.
I played Mordheim the video game quite a bit, which is really based on like the actual tabletop. And
okay,
money is a big deal. Like
Yes.
and getting an extra, like, to say that getting an extra warrior at least, if not more than that, or equipping all your warriors with equipment right away isn't a big deal would be wrong. Like,
Yeah.
the more I thought about it, the more I thought, this actually might be the best superpower in this game. Like, to be quite honest, the more I thought about it, and so I'd kind of be interested for other people like what that play Warhammer if they actually had that choice and what they thought about it.
Well, it's more of a wild. Like you can make that superpower be a lot of different things depending on how you, like you said, where the other ones are very specific. It allows you to do this.
It might be the thing that allows me to bring this dude.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like this whole dude.
Right on.
Hire a bodyguard that's willing to stomp.
Or equip them a certain way that is the way that you want to fight with them, whether it's missile weapons or heavier armor. You're going to use shields or whatever too. And I've never played Mordheim, so I don't know much about this gameplay, but specifically, cool. That's good.
Well, no, yeah. So I'm having fun with it. I'm having fun with the Warhammer Fantasy Mass Battle, and I'm having fun now thinking about playing the skirmish stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nothing like having a little bit of extra armor and ranged weapons.
Amen. What are you been up to, Rusty? You getting anything done?
Oh yeah, I got a few things, eh?
Hey, did you get your printer working? No.
Well, it's sitting right there, and
I wondered. I don't see it doing anything.
No, it's not doing anything because I've been waiting for this to show up, and
but it showed up, huh?
It just came in the mail today.
Oh, yay! Right. That's good.
So I got my LCD screen today.
You'll be back in business.
Yeah, I got to put that in. That's tomorrow's project. I didn't have any time to do it today, but it's like the mail didn't come until like 6 o'clock tonight. I was like, okay.
Well, that's a little quicker than maybe I was thinking it might come because you just had ordered it, I thought, before last.
Yeah, they said it could take up to 30 days. Well,
yeah, that's what you said.
It took 5 days to get to the States.
Okay.
And then the rest of the time it sat in Chicago. And then it took a day to get from Chicago to here.
Heck, that's not bad.
Yeah. So that's the biggest problem is that it took forever to get over here. Across the Dusty Trail.
Not so bad, like though. We're back to normal.
They sent it really quick out of China. And then it parked itself in Chicago forever. Mm-hmm. Then I've been I got these guys done.
Oh, yeah.
So I got these finished up. The ones I was working on the last show, I finished those up. Got them all.
Okay.
They were in the video I shared yesterday. These guys are the ones I got shared in the video also.
I know. I know both you guys have posted a video. I got it in my watch list. I haven't watched it yet.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, these are the mechs I traded Tim with, who are the Broken Dice.
Broken Dice? Oh.
Yes, I traded these. I traded them 20 Marauder with flails and swords and from Warhammer, and 20. I think it was 20 Marauder bowmen for them. So
nice.
They were just sitting in bags right here, like they were on the show the last time we were talking about them. So I just like that they haven't seen the light of day of being worked on or anything in 30 years. So
now they might get some love. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been working on these. They were also in the video. All these Orcs.
Orcs.
It's
hard for me to say that.
Yeah, they're orcs.
Orcs are nothing.
For Age of Sigmar orcs. These are cool. All I got to do with these is finish the bases on them. You can see.
Are they for you or what are they? Who are they? Are they for
Jesse? He's on
okay.
Yeah, the commission work. I've had him forever working on him. I just decided I need to get him done. it's not like he said there's any rush on, because he already has. What the heck? I mean, he's got enough to play the game with what he has. He just bought these extras, so he wants them finished up.
Okay, cool.
Added to the mix. And tonight's project, I'll be working on these Grunt Riders.
Oh man,
Boar Riders.
Oh, those are huge.
Those are cool. Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, they're huge.
Are
I got
those
3 of them here.
Are those Age of Sigmar?
Yeah, Age of Sigmar orcs.
Cool.
And so I did a little bit of work on them today, and I still got to go in and go put the flesh tones on them, and then I did some work on the boars themselves. So I still got to go in and bring all the extra details, like all their straps and stuff, and hooves. And same thing with this guy here. I just got to work on the base.
So do those models look like they take forever to paint because they're so? I mean, I haven't painted anything newer than a couple of 6th edition and then 5th edition and older of Games Workshop, and these new models look like they've got so much intricate detail. Like it would take me like forever.
Yeah, they have a lot of detail on them, but actually I find that painting a large model like that takes me less time than it does paint up this whole unit of 10.
Really?
Yeah. Because you got to go individually and find all the details on these little guys, and the details in the big models are right there. You can just find them. So
okay, I suppose
you're constantly finding details on these small ones that you just got to pick out. Then,
yeah, they just look like they'd take forever.
And the drink of the choice tonight is 12-year-old Canadian Club.
Oh, there you go.
Man.
Nice, eh?
Eh?
Hey, you know, if I could.
Looks like we got some comments in there.
Yeah, we got a few. I might be not able to get this thing open. It's sealed itself.
So where'd you get your miniatures for Mordheim, Palmer? Or did you have you always had them, or are you just buying them secondhand?
You know, even when I wasn't
find?
collecting miniatures, I saw them on the post and I thought those are really cool. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, back then, during that time, I wasn't playing actually at all. Like when Mordheim was actually out, I wasn't even a wargamer at that time.
I was getting White Dwarf magazine, and I was like, that game looks so freaking cool, you know, but I didn't have time then, so I didn't. But
a number of years ago, I started to play or to try it out with a friend, and they determined that it wasn't really for them.
There we go.
But I got all of that terrain that I showed on the last show.
Yep. And
then the person that I got it from, even though I was doing painting Beastmen up, I was kind of really into the idea of Mordheim. Mm-hmm. And he had some Mordheim miniatures and asked if I wanted them to buy those too. And it was a really good deal. And so I not only got those Marienburg ones, but I also got an equal number of another one of the Human Mercenary ones. Like, so I actually have another, like 3. I have a captain and a couple of others of another one of the mercenary ones that I didn't show here.
Okay.
And I probably have enough to make with that plastic box set that I showed. Well, you wouldn't have seen it, because you didn't watch the video, but yet. But
yeah.
But I have. No, it's fine.
Jeez, I know.
I have these 2 boxes, Dan. I have a box of Empire. Well, I guess one of them are called Empire State Troops that have like a mixture of different kinds of hand weapons, and I've got an Empire crossbow. They're crossbowmen as well. And between these 2 boxes, I probably have enough to actually make war bands for both of them. To be fair. Oh
wow!
And then I also got a door. I also got some other things. I have like a halfling chef, mercenary. I have a dwarf troll slayer. That's a mercenary that was made for Mordheim. I had an actual ogre mercenary. And I somehow think I sold him off years later when I wasn't playing it. and so hence I printed him. I also have a highwayman type character. I have a number of different like mercenary characters and things.
Some of those models were really cool. A lot of character.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're really nice.
That was good. Lucky you.
Yeah, it was a good deal.
Especially looking back on it now, like you can't hardly find them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or they're really expensive.
Yeah.
Canadian Club, bottle 1783. That's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Very so good. Nothing like a 12-year-old. What? Where am I? Where am I going? Oh, we got a bunch of comments.
Wartime fans.
Yeah.
Axe and Axe asked Palmer if he's going to GameCon Canada.
You know, I think we talked about that. I think it was Brad that brought that up on his show. I hadn't looked into it any further, to be honest. I wouldn't necessarily mind going. I know that I was already told when it was, so I probably have to look it up again.
I imagine somebody here will let you know.
Well, I wanted to go to Comic-Con, and I completely forgot to do that. It just came and went.
It's already happened.
Because didn't you go with your daughter or something? You guys had a great time or something?
Last year it was excellent. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yep. It just kind of came and went this time.
I've never been to a gaming convention. I always wanted to go. I remember even as a kid, I knew about like Gen Con, you know, and of course there's all kinds of like miniature ones now. Chicago even has Adepticon, which isn't so far. I'd love to see that. Or go to that someday, but I probably will someday.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go to Adepticon again.
You've been, huh, Rusty?
Yeah, I went to the very first ones.
Like how long ago was that? I don't even know.
Oh gosh, it was been over 10 years now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a kind of a fun little event.
People around here that go and play in the, I mean, like from the Omaha, Des Moines area, that go obviously for the Kings of War and Bolt Action tournaments.
Yeah.
I've talked to them and they just had a great time. I don't even know if I would go like in that capacity. I think I would just go and partake of the other stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to. Sometimes, you know, it's kind of nice just to go without having to worry about specifically playing a game, you know, just to see the sights and sounds.
Yeah, that's what people say. It's like you can't, if you're involved in a tournament or a game, you know, whatever, you can sign up for, like, I don't know what they call them, not demo games, but whatever they call them, you know, because isn't that a thing where they organize a game, they provide the miniatures and everything, and you sign up and then you come and play. They teach you the game or whatever. Yeah.
And that's where, like, say you go to Gen Con or Origins, you know, we do that every year. Used to do it every year. We'd go to those and play BattleTech, and they would have the tables all set up for you. So
yeah.
All the miniatures are there. All you're doing is just showing up and paying your money to play.
Yeah, you pay to play, yeah. And they have a lot of vendors, too.
Oh, yeah. The place is packed with vendors.
I figured. I didn't know. Some of them are more known for that, you know.
Yeah, Origins and Gen Con are pretty packed with vendors, especially when you got in what a lot of convention sizes would be, you know, their gaming area is what Gen Con's just vendor area. They have a massive vendor area.
I gotcha. Where's Historicon? That's somewhere further east, right?
Yeah, it's Pennsylvania, Lancaster.
Okay.
Last time I went was in Lancaster.
They always say
Oh, I
that.
thought it was in Virginia. Maybe they. I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like Pennsylvania or somewhere in that area too. But they,
I've never been.
I've never been either. But there's some YouTube channels that I follow, and in the past they're like prepping a game for, they're going to put a game on, and so they're spending all the winter months, painting them miniatures and making the terrain and just to put this game on for people. And yeah, it looks like if you're into historical gaming, that'd be like in the U.S. be the one to go to.
Yes, it is. I used to see the last time I was at Historicon, we hosted a game. Typically, used to be, it was like if I went to a convention, I was hosting at least a game system or two. Show off.
And I don't mean this in any kind of a snarky way, but Rusty's like done everything, like literally you've done. It's like he's probably. I mean, there's probably everything that Palmer and I have done. He's done like twice already.
Well, definitely. I mean, the length of time Rusty's been gaming alone. I mean, I probably have less time gaming length of time than you do, Dan. I'm thinking, because I played D&D like when I was like in a lot when I was in like elementary, junior high, and then I played like a year. I dipped my toe into Rogue Trader a bit, which is a little bit of a badge of honor. I like the fact that I was there at that time,
That's
but
cool.
Yeah, but beyond that, I stopped until like all through college, through my life right out after college. I didn't get back to it until 2012, which is starting to seem like a while ago. But to be honest, I still, with the people I hang with, that's nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like in the sense of like 2012 to 2023.
Well, and I feel the same way. And really, my gaming background, our family played D&D together, and and then when I think, I'm like, oh, we did it for a long time. Well, really, it was probably like, for me, would have been like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade. That's kind of what we did. But we played it quite a bit during that time. Yeah. And then kind of from even from like 6th, 7th grade on, my brother and I played a lot. We discovered Avalon Hill games, and we could mail order those. And so we played a lot, like Squad Leader and Blitzkrieg, Panzer Blitz, just a lot, just all kinds of those types of games. But my first miniature game, literally the first time I played a miniature game, and then I had painted the miniatures, and it wasn't until like 2015 was the very first game. Yeah, I'd painted miniatures, and I painted them to. Never even really used them for Dungeons and Dragons. I just painted them because I like to do it. I just was like collecting them, painting them, and displaying them.
Well, we're not that different then, I don't think.
Yeah, I think we're not that different. But basically, once I graduated from high school and went to college, I didn't do a single thing in the hobby. I used to build a lot of plastic model kits growing up too, basically from like 5th grade clear through high school. Didn't touch that through college, and then I got married a couple years after college, and and so then all that stuff got pushed to the side, and didn't really return to it till the kids got a little bit older.
Yeah.
So, but I always had an interest in it, and I always wanted to return to it. And I every once in a while I'd look through my old stuff, on a day I'd get a little nostalgic and like, I want to see if I still have that, and. But then time just didn't allow it, so I knew I'd return to it at some point. And I guess for the gaming thing, I like is it combines several of my things I like to do. I like being creative, and I like modeling, and I like painting, and I like gaming. So it's like I can do. I remember when I first was getting back into it, I thought, well, there's a hobby I can do that it's all of my interest. Well, not every one of them, but a bunch of my interests all combined into one.
Oh yeah,
seem kind of efficient, and I can do it by myself, and I didn't have to coordinate with anybody, and then yeah, so
I always had lucky enough that even after I got married, it's like my wife was like, well, we got this convention going on. We had all the local conventions, or we'd go over to Gen Con because, back in the day, it was over in Milwaukee or way back.
It always was.
Over it was in Lake Geneva, too.
Lake Geneva, that's where it was. That's what I was trying to remember.
Some of these phones going off like crazy. You got
yeah.
Is that you, Rusty?
No, mine's silent. Mine would go.
Yeah, my siblings are texting me. I got her shut down now.
But yeah, it's like my wife would say, it's like, I want to go to this convention out of town. And she's like, okay, go.
Well, it wasn't like my wife wouldn't let me go. It's just the livestock and farming. I just didn't have like 5 minutes. We didn't have any money either. We didn't have 2 dimes to rub together. It was horrible. But we were happy. We didn't care. But
the sad thing is that's when the Bretonians were actually cheap.
Yeah, well, and that's why I bought just a handful of them through the 90s. I mean,
but at that time, you didn't know that they were going to be.
But I thought at the time, even then though, I remember because I about once every couple of years I'd get down to Omaha, where the nearest hobby store was, which be an hour and like 10, 15 minutes away, and I'd go in there and I'm like, oh, this stuff's amazing, and I bought a few paints and a couple miniatures, but it was still like I still thought, gosh, these are so expensive.
Yeah.
Just going in there and buying a few things, you spent $75, and it was like, oh man, that was back when you didn't really have that to be wasting on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No regrets. It's just the way it was.
I can't remember what the name of that game shop was in Omaha that I used to go to. We'd actually road trip over and every once in a while.
Dragon's Lair is probably the one, right?
Probably. We'd go over and
that thing was amazing. It's still there, but the old store burned down, and so all that ancient stuff they had in there got destroyed. It's still a good. And then there's a couple more that have more gaming and stuff. There's actually some really good gaming shops in Omaha. It's just not so convenient. With mail order, I go there. I don't even mind the pricing. It's pretty fair, but for me, it's just easier to hop online, at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, boom, order it, shows up,
Yeah. Save the gas and time.
Save the gas and time, because that's mostly time is what I'm somewhat lacking, but but I'll bet, Palmer, you've probably almost played more miniature games than I have, probably.
Yeah. Well, it's all relative, I guess. You probably played more board games than I have. You talk about the Avalon Hill and all this stuff. But it's just, and I've really slowed down in the stuff that I've tried. I kind of went through a phase where I was just didn't have a whole lot of restraint. I was just sort of always interested in the next thing.
Yeah, I found that to be the case when I kind of rediscovered the hobby somewhere around 2013, 14 was when I kind of got back into board gaming, and I couldn't believe all the stuff that was out there. And then when I got into the miniature stuff again in 2014, 15, I was kind of like, whoa, squirrel. It was like, I had no idea there was that. It was just, coming from what I remember when, you'd see these little black and white ads in these magazines, and that's what you'd order. You'd order this catalog and wait. Then all of a sudden, 20 years later, there's all this cool stuff. If they would have had that when I was a kid, oh my gosh, I would have just loved it.
But I think one of the hard things is until you've been burned kind of by the fact that there's just so many reasons not to play a game after you've bought it. Until you've been burned by that a few times, you don't really appreciate the value of holding off.
Well, that's what I found too. It's like after a while, it's, I've got so many things that I want to do, and that's what's helped me limit my projects and miniatures too, is just knowing that what I've got I really enjoy and I want to do it. It's not like I even lose interest or get burned out on it. It's more just a time thing. So I don't need to be adding more stuff to that. I mean, so it's easy for me just to look away. I used to have trouble with that. And always, the new thing. It's like, oh my gosh, but that's so cool. I didn't even know you could do something like that. And
yeah.
But yeah, it's just gotta be realistic and.
Yeah, there is that. It's like we used to, back in the 80s, we'd always make a road trip go from Muscatine over to Iowa City and go to the hobby shop, because that was the nearest hobby shop we had at the time.
Oh, sure.
And every time we'd go in, it's like, oh, look at that. It's a new Avalon Hill war game.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a library of Avalon Hill war games that just bookshelves.
Yeah, the bookcase games, that's what they were.
Yeah. And, I guess it was around 2010, 11, somewhere in there, I just started selling them all off.
I still got all my old stuff. Never did sell any of it.
Well, it got to the point where it was like I'm just like looking at space. I was actually starting to downsize my all my war games and stuff. Most of the guys in the group decided they didn't want to play Warhammer anymore, and they didn't want to do any of that. And it's like I just I'll just start selling off my 40K stuff and start selling off my Warhammer stuff. I sold off my 15 mil Napoleonics and Civil War.
Huh.
Yeah.
I came close back in 2015 when I got back into that's when I was like wanting to get into gaming, and I started going online to see, or miniature gaming, and see what I thought, well, now's the chance I'm going to get into Warhammer Fantasy. And somewhere around 15, 16 was when I was looking, and like, oh, they killed it. I didn't know that. Oh man. Okay. And
yeah.
so then I was looking. So then that's when I got looking at Bolt Action, but, and then I got really kind of obsessed with that. And I came so close to selling off my 5th edition Bretonian stuff. Cause I was like, I'm never going to paint this. And I don't, and I'm kind of really into the World War II. So, and that would help kind of pay for some of that even. So maybe I'll just sell that. And God, I'm so glad I didn't.
Oh my gosh. So what actually made you decide to paint it?
Well, I think fundamentally, ever since was it a
YouTube channel?
No, not really. It's just I've always had this huge medieval interest. I was always into knights. Even as kids, we would make armor out of just junk we found around, and we made shields out of plywood and wooden. We literally made wooden swords like they show out of plaster laths, and we'd go out and chop thistles and stuff with them, and these great big huge thistles, and we'd pretend we were knights. And I was always just into that. And then I had my I subscribed to White Dwarf for quite a few years there, even when I wasn't gaming, because I was like, really, I enjoyed that because I could look at that, and sort of dream about someday actually doing that. And so I kind of got digging through those again and running across, the old picture, and just remembering because I'd bought them with the intention of playing 5th edition. That's when I was going to do it, and I was all in. And I had the 96 and 98 complete Citadel catalog. They always released, and that one was like an inch and a quarter thick. Had all the pictures in it for 5th edition and all the miniatures. And I mean, I paged through that till the covers were falling off. I'm not kidding. Just in my spare time, or and thinking about what army I would do besides the Bretonians, and then then reality had set in. It's like you don't have any time or money for that, so don't, just whatever. But it would just keep coming up. I just had that huge passion to do it, and finally, then, like I said, when I finally got where I had the time, and then the finances, of course, were, we'd finally gotten to where we could afford things, and I was like, I'm gonna do that now. And then I remember at the time, though, when I got into the miniature game, I got into bolt action just because there was a guy had a YouTube channel that was from Wahoo, Nebraska. Wahoo Warrior was the channel.
Yeah, I remember his name.
Yeah, he was very popular, and he was actually at the Bug Eater tournament. Because I swung by there one time. I was down visiting my daughter, and I knew what was going on, and I'd never been to a tournament, and I just started painting my guys, and because I've been kind of communicating with him a little bit, and he's like, yeah, we could get a game in, once you get them painted, and he wasn't, he was a ways away, but yeah, it was realistic. And so I thought, well, I've got somebody I can play against, because that was the number one thing. I'm like, well, so I paint my Bretonians up, who am I going to play? And the game's dead anyway. So, and then painting up a Bretonian army was, well, not only just the size and scope of it, but, I had visions in my head what I wanted the heraldry and stuff to be like, and I really didn't have my painting up to that. And so I thought, well, bolt action didn't require so many dudes. I've got this guy that I can play, and they have this tournament in Nebraska. Okay, I had some motivation. And then after I'd done that, I'm like, okay, I painted quite a few guys. I mean, I think by the time I was all done, I probably painted 75 or 100 infantry, counting, machine gun teams and mortar teams and all that. And I thought, okay, I proved myself I could do that to a level I was happy with. And in a time frame, that was even when I still had some kids at home, but they were older. And I thought, well, I could do this. So then that's when I jumped into the Bretonians. I'm like, I'm doing it. And I didn't have a clue of anybody I could play, but that wasn't important. And and I just had a blast with that project, which I'll be returning to it. I'm just enjoying some of these other projects too. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was kind of what got me there. A lot of it still comes down to nostalgia, because if I could have done it back in the day, and I remember going to the hobby shop down there in Omaha when I was picking some stuff out back in the 90s there, and it's usually on a weekend. I think one time I was there on a Friday night or a Saturday night evening or whatever, and there was gaming tables, and there were guys and gals both, I think, actually set up playing Warhammer Fantasy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is, and I'd watch, for a little bit. I'm like, that is so cool. I'm doing that. I'm totally doing that, So I think it was just one of those things to kind of fulfill that sort of that dream that I had always had to actually, couldn't do it at the time, but by God, I'm going to do it still.
Even if you don't play a game, by painting them and having them ready and just doing all that, you're kind of already part of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I feel.
Well, and that's
what I mean?
Yes. Well, and that's, and everything I paint now, even, I'm like, well, I don't know when or if I'll have time to get a game in, but if you don't have the miniatures painted, and as slow as I paint, and I want to paint them to a level that I'm happy and proud of, that I don't mind putting in the time. And if I never played a game, I'm fine. But if all of a sudden it's like, hey, because I'm only going to get more time, I can see that, as my life's changing now. And so then I've done the heavy lift, and then and Rusty's got, we're going to be able to get a 5th edition game in, which is going to be totally cool. And so that's a real possibility. And also they're actually, once they give a release date for the Warhammer the Old World, I might get a little bit more motivated to like paint a couple units that I don't have done yet, because I thought,
Yeah.
At least I'll be able to try the new rules, and there'll be people, in Omaha and around playing, and I'll be able to use whether I use bases that they can sit in or movement trays that make it legal enough for a friendly game. Be kind of fun to actually play the game right when it's out new. That might and I won't have had to invest anything except maybe buy the rule book.
Yeah, that would be something interesting to find out. Is all the bases going to be all have to be 25s?
Yeah, it looks like most of them are going to go to 25s, and then the little one haven't really tipped their hand on. Looks like most of the mounted are going to get larger too, but there's plenty of ways nowadays with the 3D printing and I'm not. That doesn't concern me. I'm not rebasing anything. I'm going to just make it so it works.
No way I would rebase it, but I'm actually not planning on doing the new game probably. I had somebody ask me recently, local here, as to whether I was planning on doing it. And I just said I prefer to play an older rule set. I kind of, I don't know. I feel like I've been down this road enough times. I buy some of the miniatures. I'll buy some, like if they release. I was actually thinking if they release the Bretonians, the plastics, I'll probably pick those up.
Yeah, it looks like they're really re-releasing the existing plastics, and then they did announce that there will be a Foot Knight unit, so those will be new. I would maybe pick those up.
The 6th edition ones or no?
What's that?
Aren't they the 6th edition ones?
There are no Foot Knights in any edition except 3rd or 4th.
No, what I meant, the plastics they're going to re-release, aren't those like 6th edition?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
See, I would probably pick those up. Yeah.
And I don't care personally. And again, this is just me personally. I never liked the archers in particular. I think are horrible, and the foot spearmen, halberdiers or whatever they are, they're okay, but they're still not the style I like. The knights are okay. I still like the 5th better. The horses are pretty cool. I just wish they hadn't put those darn shields on the side of the horses. I despise that.
Right.
So basically you have to paint that as opposed to just painting a blank cloth like it would have been. And I would have rathered that. I suppose I could file it off too, but
it's like having to paint more
heraldry.
Yeah, it's the word.
And that's why I know that's why they did it. Is then you can just paint like that shielding, and it's easier for people to do that don't want to start with a blank canvas. I get that.
And I don't think that my comparison here necessarily reflects your situation with your Bretts and how you like them. But the way I kind of look at it is this. I mean, to me, everything's a bit of a degree of how much you like them and how much they are compared to today, which are much more plastic and stylized and stuff. I find my Beastmen that I game with right now, my Beastmen army is primarily 6th edition, but I have, except all those Bob Ollie Eastmen that I painted.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, like if you were to ask me what are my favorites are the really old school Beastmen, like the really old school metal ones. So like really like probably 3rd edition, 4th edition kind of models, I'm guessing. But I still really like my 6th edition ones, and they are more generic. Like there's like 4 or 5 different poses. They're really nice, and they're the bulk of like my big Beastmen unit and my Vestigors. But if I had to pick, like I'd pick the other ones that I have. Like if I had a choice, I think I'm guessing that the 6th edition Bretonians, it's kind of similar in some ways, in that it's like, like there's some other more characterful models maybe, or like there's the ones that you like better, from earlier editions.
Right.
But the very fact that they're from that era, the 6th edition era, I'd probably take a look at them. Just because I can get them. Like if I can get them and they're not actually at a collector price, they're actually at a retail price, then
that would be good.
Although it'll be interesting to see. I thought of that too. I think I would pick up their Knights of the Realm. I didn't like where the questing knights became where they had great swords as opposed to lances. But and then I didn't like it. They had everything but the kitchen sink on their back. Just the style of that I didn't like. But I liked the Knights of the Realm. I thought they were cool. I'll be interested to see what GW does for pricing. They're going to have to be a little careful because everybody and their dog knows that's a 20-year-old kit, 20-plus-year-old. But they also do know that they bring crazy prices on eBay. But it's gonna have. I hope they make it low enough that people are like, that's plenty, but that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if that's the case, I would probably pick up a box and paint it because I would like them, and their horses. I do like the horses quite a bit. So yeah, I'm not saying I don't like them. I just remember
you have other stuff that's older, and you have other stuff you like better. I mean,
yeah, and I have
totally
plenty
normal.
of it. I've got tons and tons of horses and knights because I was fortunate enough to start getting that collection really bulked out before there was
the supersized prices.
Yeah, you could find really like now like to die for deals, but I just thought, well, that's pretty fair. Like I would never want to spend like I wouldn't spend for a night that was complete, like even in the blister, like $15, that's how much I would give a brand new, with the metal knight and the plastic horse. Sometimes you could get it for 12. I mean, that was only like double what it was new. And I thought, well, that's fair enough, and, now they're like, people list them at like $50 and stuff. You know?
Well, right after the Age of Sigmar came out,
and
that
would have been the time.
It was the primo time you could have bought pennies on a dollar.
And painted armies, you could buy full painted armies, really well painted even. Like you could play with it and be happy if you were into buying a painted army. But
yeah, it just, and then
see, I was just a little after that. It had been killed, but and it was at that time like the 5th edition stuff you could buy cheap compared to the 6th edition because some people were still wanting the 6th edition. That's what they knew, or they were finishing out their collection that they maybe wanted to bulk out or had never completed. But it seemed like the 5th edition was kind of like, that was the old outdated ugly stepsister version.
Well, in particular, because the 6th edition held on for so long, they were using it for multiple games, like multiple editions. So it wasn't just 6th edition; they were using it for 7th and 8th too, right?
Yes, that was the last time they released anything. Was I think was it 2002 or 3 when those came out, and then that was the end of it. Yeah, they rode that horse for long, and that's when the last army book came out. There was really only the 2 army books, the 5th and 6th edition.
Which, really sad too is that people were clamoring for the Bretonnian army book forever, and they kept just never touching it.
Yeah, what's funny, they wouldn't do an army book. I understood their quandary with the doing miniatures, which it even surprised me that they were reintroducing. I guess it's easy to reintroduce existing sculpts, but there's so many, unless you're going to play in an official GW tournament, there's tons of, even before there were proxies. I mean, even just if you went with historicals, I mean, forget about the 3D, actual, copy replica things that people were making. There was tons of it's. I mean, a medieval knight is a medieval knight, and they were done by the Perrys, so they were basically 100 Years' War knights and infantry and miniature. Yeah, I mean, so you could buy those anywhere, and they looked almost the same, which is what drew me to them because they weren't real high fantasy. They were just, it was very historical. I think that's what really grabbed me with the Bretonnians from 5th edition in particular.
Yeah, that I do have a small army of them, and I just keep thinking I need to finish painting the darn things. I started.
Well, and then you'll be able to add to it if you want, if you choose. If there's a few things you're missing, because it looks like that's what'll be coming out again. Because they showed in their last thing, they showed a picture, and it had the knights, and it had the bowmen, and I can't remember if it had the halberdiers, but it also did have the trebuchet.
Okay.
And they were all in the picture painted. You know, it was obviously a new presentation, but it was the exact same miniatures. I couldn't tell if they were including or if that would be an alternative where they'd have different helmets for the knights or some of the knights, because they've shown some pictures of that and those weren't the original ones. And so maybe they've, you know, through Forge World, you can get these additional heads, or maybe they'll be included in the plastic, you know, kit. I don't know, but I mean, I'm not like holding my breath on it, and I don't know that I'll invest in it either, other than potentially I'd buy the book just because I thought, well, that'd be a way I could use my
existing army,
and I'll just use you know, movement trays or whatever to make it work, because I'm not rebasing them. I'm sure I'll be happy playing older editions if I get to that.
It's like Axe and Axes going to bed.
Okay. Yeah. Night, buddy.
Oh, good night. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Well, while we're sitting there painting, we did have a topic that we could talk about.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. What was the topic? I never heard.
I'll tell you in a second. Well, one is the topic from last time, which is...
yeah, we had one we didn't cover.
We should probably start with that one just so we...
Well, the person that put the live stream together didn't put the topic on it.
Well, that's what I know. I didn't get
probably the person that reminded me of the topic should probably know it.
The person that did make the topic does know what the topic is. All right. Do you like to batch paint or individually paint?
Oh, yeah.
That was last.
I remember that.
I know what. Right now, I'm doing one of the topics right now. So, Palmer.
Yeah, I guess I am.
Well, let's start with a story. No.
In the beginning, there were two tiny amoeba.
No, I probably prefer, in a purist sense, individual miniature painting.
Yeah.
Just because I like doing different things and just maybe seeing a miniature all the way through and spending some time on it. And when I batch paint, it's not that you can't spend theoretically an equal amount of time per miniature than you do in individual painting, but oftentimes when I batch paint, there's a reason I'm doing it, and it's because I'm doing units, and I bring everything up to a certain standard that and I like to have my certain number of highlights and certain number of things even in the batch painting. But with individual miniature painting, I'm perhaps spending a little more time, like on a skirmish model or a leader model or something like that. And I probably like that more. Having said that, there's always like two sides to the coin. And I like the look when I get to a certain point in batch painting on the table of all the miniatures. I like having all the miniatures like ranked up, like in that phase of the painting, and just like the look of it, and just the accomplishment of that. And so I see the benefit of both, but I'm probably looking forward to like painting this guy that I printed off a lot right now, like just focusing on him, and for a couple models, like that's probably what I'm really looking forward to the most.
So what you're saying is
there isn't one answer.
Yeah. Depends on the project,
Yeah. I see I enjoy both, but if I had to choose, it would definitely be individual.
Well, it probably depends a little bit. Like you said, depends on the project too, but are you trying to paint a 20 or 30 man unit or something? But also it depends, are you a gamer or a painter a little bit to some extent? Do you really enjoy the painting process. And if that's the case, it is really hard to beat, painting a single miniature. Is to really, because like you said, you can paint 8 or 10 guys or batch paint whatever you batch paint, but you can still do all the highlights and you can do all the steps, but it is hard to really be an enjoyable like paint process. Painting the single miniature is probably more enjoyable, from a painting perspective.
And you would have experienced that a little bit when you were doing your individual nights. You were doing the 2 contrasting projects. There was a time when you would paint 1 or 2 nights, and then you would paint a unit of historical.
Yep, exactly. That I did that one whole summer and fall. Yeah, probably about a year I did that.
Yeah, and so what did you get from that? Did you enjoy one of them more than the other?
Not necessarily. I guess it is fundamentally, if you had no goal at all, but and I enjoy the painting process. Painting a single miniature to me is the most enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if I really enjoy seeing a larger army come together too. And if that's the case, because I remember back in 2000 when I was still occasionally would mess around with some painting a weekend here, maybe a couple weekends a year even or something. I was painting some Lord of the Rings miniatures, and I was literally painting 1 miniature at a time. Granted, that's kind of split between a skirmish and a large battle game, depending on the points that you're playing with. But I mean, that'd take you a million years. You're just, even like I was saying, if you're doing 3 layers of highlights and you're doing the wash, and you can do all the steps, but you had to keep getting the paint out each time, or mixing the paint or whatever. It's easier to paint 8 guys, do all that at once, and then move on. Just as far as being somewhat efficient with the process.
Yes.
But yeah, but I really enjoy painting the single nights, and that was the only way to do that. But like when I painted like the unit of 20 spearmen, I did a set of 5 at a time. I don't like the huge batch paint, like even Palmer, didn't you do like your French and Indian War? Wasn't there like 30 or something you were doing at one time?
There was a time when I actually did like 45 British Hatmen at a time. That was big. Yeah, that was a lot. It was 40 to 45.
I remember seeing them on that video. They were lying. Yeah. And even when I do a unit of 24 of these AWIs, I break it into groups of 8.
You know what I think I did is I think I actually did 12 or 13 separately. So I think you're right. It was probably 30, 35, and then I did another 12 or 13 because I have a unit of 45.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that was big for me. That was like one of the bigger units that I've done.
Because if you was doing like 60 or so, no, divisible 72. I think when I did my American War Independence, I think I did 72 at a time.
When I see you have your Civil War, you do this American Civil War, you do the same thing, Rusty. You've got you get them all like primed, and then they're sitting on your desk yet, aren't they? Like those 15 millimeter you were working on.
Yeah, I do have the Iron Brigade is still sitting in front of me. So
that to me, it's too slow of a process for me. I need to see something. I need to see the 8 guys get done, and then or whatever. Then it may take me the same time, or maybe even takes me slightly longer. But I like even now these 8 that I've painted, that I've been painting this last 2 weeks here. I've got them in a line right now, because it's like like a kid, I gotta see them ranked up, or as I'm painting them. Even it's it keeps you. I'm after the look, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna look cool. I'm just down to the last like highlight and the flesh tones, and they're done. And oh man, they look cool.
It's your form of motivation is to do small. You do batch, but you do it small.
Yeah. And I think that suits me well, where I especially if I can only paint like an hour here or there, that I can see the progress. Otherwise, this progress would be so slow that I'd be like, okay, I've got like 24 guys that are like half done. Here, I can have 8 guys that are done, 8 guys that are just primed, and 8 guys that are half done. And so I'm like, oh, I'm almost there.
When I painted my goblins, I painted a fair bit at once too. And the other thing was they were all, well, not all, but a good portion of them, about 2/3 of them were ones that I'd stripped. And like actually plastics that I stripped and all the way down from what somebody else had done, which was a lot of work.
Yes.
I did videos on that, but that was a fairly big, if I remember right, that was a fairly big amount that I did at once.
Mm-hmm. So is that what you would do again, or?
For those kind of things, probably. I don't know that I would want to do the stripping as much as I did that time. It's kind of a messy.
What do you use for a stripper?
Well, here it's called it's like Home Depot's Purple Power, some kind of purple degreaser.
Yep.
It's similar to Simple Green, but purple.
Yeah, I use Simple Green. It does take a lot of elbow grease, but it doesn't damage any plastics. They can be in there for a long time even.
Yeah, I found for plastics, this purple stuff's pretty good. It's just that it's actually kind of caustic if you get on your hands and stuff, more so than Simple Green. It's it'll actually start to, I don't even think, if you actually kind of rip your gloves, like put little holes in your gloves and you get it in your gloves, it makes your fingernails start to sting and stuff.
Shoot.
It is dissolving your fingernails.
it hurts your skin. Like it definitely is.
Okay.
It's definitely more mild.
Yeah, because Simple Green, I don't use gloves or anything.
Yeah, because it's just a household cleaner.
Yeah, it's supposed to be able to just go down the drain with it even.
But I'll tell you what, as much as, I think you use what works for you. But for me, this kind of stuff works for me better with plastics. It's just that it has a price.
Yeah.
If I've
never, I kind of started with Simple Green just because it was like the least aggressive. Mm-hmm. And I was stripping some old Hammer miniatures and I was wanting to make sure I didn't damage them. And a couple of them, actually had one that was like the old fail cast resin, whatever, the fine cast or whatever they called it. Mm-hmm. So I was, nervous about wrecking some of that stuff, but it does real well on the metals. The plastics, it's tough. And it seems like it depends. I don't know. There's a lot of variation in what they would have used as a paint, and then if they primed them, because I have stripped a gob of miniatures. But
you know what works for you and what to expect.
Yeah, I guess that's what it comes down to. But man, after I do a batch, I'm like, okay, I'm doing these 25 or whatever, and then when I'm done, I'm like, okay, we'll let that rest for a bit. We'll come back to that later after I got those done.
So way back in the day, it used to be, all right, just throw them in some brake fluid.
Brake cleaner, right?
Yeah, just throw them in there and then let them sit for a couple of days and break them out.
Yeah.
Those are the old days.
The old days. Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Back when I was a kid.
That's the way it was. We liked it.
Yeah, exactly. Uphill both ways in the snow barefoot.
Because we had there was a big hill between us and the school.
So I'm sitting here with a pair of needle nose pliers and cutters, GW cutters, and I've been ripping apart this glass. I don't know if you can, Rusty, if you can focus on me for a second here, but
you're the guy that's in control of everything.
Oh, I guess you're right. No wonder.
You're the guy that's supposed to be putting all the comments and everything.
I'm sorry, when we did our talks, I didn't focus in on everybody. I guess you can't see it here too much.
There you go. Now I can.
I got all these little shards of glass there. They're awesome, actually. It's just glass from car windows.
Huh.
Yeah. That's been that. My wife actually knows somebody that owns one of those places that replaces your car windows, and she just asked them to give me some broken glass.
They're probably like, takes all kinds of people, I guess.
Yeah, and so I got pieces like this, but when you rip them apart, they turn into perfect little shards for Weirdstone.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I'm not gonna. I was thinking I could leave them. I'm gonna paint them so they look really green, like they're supposed to. Like, you know. So I'm actually gonna paint them, even though they are already glass. I'm gonna.
They got Hex Wraith Flame. Maybe that's what you need to do.
Mm.
Put a little bit of that on top of it.
Is that right?
A bit of wash.
Put some like clear coat on them. Spray it with some clear coat so you get something to adhere to, and then put this wash on it.
You think that'll work better than just painting it green and making some highlights on it?
Try both.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the other one would be because once you put like a clear coat on it, it will have something to adhere to, and then it'll still have some depth to it.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah.
Ideas.
Well, it looks like you don't have any shortage of glass, so you can definitely try a couple different techniques.
I don't want to waste any of this.
You have to send your wife
in this, Rusty.
Yeah, about that.
Oh, Lord.
No, do this with your crazy ideas, Rusty.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'll keep them to myself next time.
Oh, good grief.
I don't want to offend you, man. Oh, what the heck was I doing? Oh, yeah. Where am I? Where am I going?
What is happening?
Yeah, it's like I'm making some progress filling these guys in tonight.
You always make progress. You're like the steady.
Well, that's why it's like when we're talking about the topic, because batch painting, everything I do is batch painting.
I noticed that.
It was like, I'll just put as many models in front of me and just do the one thing. And I have no problem. It's like my OCD just kicks in and I just.
Because I know I see your desk, you know, like when you do your videos and you've got like when you're doing your AWI, there was like 50 or 60 of these dudes out here. I'm like, holy crap. There's no way.
I was like, okay, all right, everybody's going to get their belt. Everybody gets their belt. Okay, they're going to do the pouch. Everybody gets their pouch. They get their boots. They get their, you know. I just go right down the line. Everybody gets the same exact thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's just something I've learned over the years. It just works for me.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Find what works for you and gives you the results that you want. That's it.
You know, it's like the number of times that Palmer was sitting there, like, "Hey, you gonna do anything with those Blood and Plunder guys?" No, they're just gonna sit there.
And then I would say, you know, those Blood and Plunder guys, they're looking like they're kind of jealous.
Yeah.
All the attention you're giving that other project.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, one day you showed up and they're done. Speaking of which, behind me, you can see my ship right there.
Oh, yeah.
The box of Blood and Plunder stuff is right there. They got pulled out this week.
So when are you going to paint that?
Well, the ship is done.
It's done? Okay, I can't see it well enough.
Give me a second here.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm just grabbing a couple bases. I'll only be momentarily here.
10-4.
Yeah, it's like I have I got a whole bunch of my Blood and Plunder miniatures are all painted already.
Is this from a recent Kickstarter?
This is the first Kickstarter miniatures that I got done.
Okay. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
have you played a game?
Actually, no. Which is wild, is that I got the bloody game. I have the miniatures painted, and my son and I, before we talked about it, the other night when we were chatting back and forth, my son and I were talking about getting a game of Blood and Plunder.
It looks really sweet.
Because our local game castle up there in Ankeny, they are now stocking the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the manager was sitting there. He's like, "Hey, Zach," my son's Zach, and the manager's name's Zach, and he goes, "Hey, Zach, we got this new game in. If you ever heard of it, you know, it's called Blood and Plunder." And he goes, yeah, we kind of know about that. And he goes, you do? And it's like, yeah. It's like, he's like, I got a rule book over here. And he opens up the rule book and he flips through the, he said, see that name right there? And he's like, wait a minute. And he's like, that's my dad. And he flipped to the book and he shows, oh, okay, those miniatures there, that's the ones my dad painted. They're in the rule book. And he's like, oh, cool. Wow, small world.
Yeah, jeez, I guess. That's cool.
But yeah. Give me a second.
I would think a game system like that would, could do well because again, it's skirmish, it's unique. I mean, how many like pirate games are out there, and it's very historical too. That's their big angles that they really keep it, grounded in historical accuracy.
I'm gonna grab my ship here real quick.
Yeah, I'd like to see a closer look at that.
That's one of those games that I really like to watch Rusty's stuff and just see how it's all progressing. But I just always felt like with Sharp's practice and Musket and Tomahawks that I had enough on my plate. And
hey, Palmer.
Yeah,
do the expansion.
I just live vicariously through other people on YouTube on this stuff. Like Rusty right now, I'm living through Rusty right here.
Rusty, did you say to do the expansion?
Expand the screen.
He's going to show his ship.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought you meant we should be buying. I'm like, no, Rusty,
you got
don't
all
try to
rigged in there. Oh my God, look at that.
Nice.
I put the rat rigs and everything. I did all that myself.
That's freaking cool.
Yes. I remember when you did that.
And it's actually, everything moves like that. I tried to make it as realistic as possible. I used real cloth instead of they had paper stuff that you could put in. But I used real cloth and I got the little rings on it so it could slide around and stuff. Oh.
Well, next time you get a big river running down your road, we can go sailing with that thing. It looks ready to go.
It'd probably sink. It's got the holes. We got the portholes in here where you can put the cannons.
Oh yeah, they're there.
And you got the holes right here where it's supposed to have an anchor system go in there that holds these anchors.
Is that one the hole? Is that resin?
Yeah, this is a resin piece.
Because they're plastic now, aren't they? Didn't they?
Yeah, they made them into plastic. This is the HMS Tarkania, named after my daughter.
Tarkania, very cool.
The ship, they gave this to me for doing some painting.
Oh, nice.
So
those were worth quite a bit.
Yeah.
Ones.
So they shipped that off to me and said, here you go. Here's your ship.
They shipped it off to you.
They shipped you a ship.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
that's nice.
They also gave you this little guy. Got a longboat.
Longboat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That can be good in a lot of games. I mean, you can use that in Muskets and Tomahawks.
And I can do this. Let's see, pull this little guy out. Oh, maybe this one will fall. There we go. I can get it in the hole. There we go. It has a swivel gun.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, that's cool.
You can go in there and just like swivel the gun and bam.
Guns blazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that game always looked cool. I'm really just trying not to.
So if you want to try it sometime, let me know.
There you go.
Go back off the.
That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do.
Expanded screen there, Palmer.
I know the amount of time that I've got available, and I just know I can't start more projects, and that's fine.
So if you want to play it sometime, just let me know. We can do it.
All right.
I got the miniatures.
That would be freaking cool.
And right now on the table, I do have the second expansion, which is the European line troops.
Oh, okay.
I have those that need to be painted up. So it's the second part of the second Kickstarter that they had. I need to finish painting up. I got them all primed and everything.
Cool.
I was going to work on them, and then I decided not to.
Yeah, you always got a lot of stuff going on.
And a lot of it was like, oh, commission comes in and they want something done, and so I would just move on to something.
Darn money.
Yeah, I just got paid today too for another commission.
Oh, good.
BattleTech.
BattleTech. All right.
Drink up.
So when's that Kickstarter that just ended? When's that supposed to deliver?
Supposed to be next spring.
Okay. Did they do pretty good on those?
Yeah, it's like went over 7 million.
But I mean, are they usually kind of on time on their delivery? They do Kickstarters.
We had the one in 2019 was the previous Kickstarter.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be delivered in 2020.
Uh-huh.
Well, it didn't quite make it.
Of course. Yeah, I got to kind of throw anything out during that time frame, I think. But as far as, that's not normal.
Yeah. So, but they did deliver it, gave it to us, even though it was a little late, which is fine.
Yeah.
I can live with that. And we still haven't got the, what do you call it? You got to finalize everything, tell them what you want.
Oh, the pledge manager.
Yeah, pledge manager. They sent an email. I think it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. They said, "Update. Currently, we're almost done with the pledge manager, setting it all up."
Yeah, it's quite a process, especially theirs is fairly complicated. Kickstarter.
I'm looking forward to seeing that one. And when it finally comes in, it'll, give me some more mechs.
Just like can't have enough mechs, it sounds like.
Well, it's all
add another planetary system to my collection.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like start building house units galore type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you got a large, then it's going to be batch painting again of large numbers of, hey, the wardrobes in the house.
Hey.
Hello.
The robe.
What has he said? I really should live vicariously through YouTubers instead of buying stuff I see people buying and playing on YouTube. Yeah, that could be very dangerous to the wallet, especially when you're married.
Yeah, I kind of just enjoy. I've learned to just live vicariously through some other people's projects, and I do find when I watch that it gets me enthused about my project, probably even more so than wanting to start theirs. I mean, I would like to, but I'm like, oh. Then I go down and look at mine. I'm like, oh yeah, this is freaking cool. Then I'm like, okay, I'm glad I didn't buy anything new.
You know what thing really tempted me recently was the He-Man games coming out, because it reminded me so much of being like a kid in elementary school, and seeing these models, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like that would be so much fun. But at the same time, I didn't think that I would actually probably play the game.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of went against it, and I kind of have the Marvel for that. In a lot of ways, like that nostalgia
fits that niche a little.
That, like I get that kind of excitement of like a character coming out, from the Marvel.
But would you enjoy just painting the models? Forget about the game.
I probably would,
or not.
But then again, I have so much to paint, like we talk about, right?
Yeah, right.
So I'm not. I won't be getting it.
Yeah, it's like you're talking about He-Man. That was something that came out when I was working out of high school. I remember seeing it on TV, but I never.
Yeah, my younger brother was into He-Man. I mean, I'm not that much older than Palmer, but I was a little out of that.
Yep.
That time frame.
I was definitely an 80s cartoon kid.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a 70s cartoon kid.
I'm more of a 70s cartoon kid, yeah.
So you'd be freaking out over Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes. I always liked Super Friends. Scooby-Doo. Yeah. That was what was on.
Bugs Bunny.
And remember Land of the Lost?
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember I watched that. Yeah.
I liked that too.
Man, that's throwback there.
Saturday morning. Was that like 77, 78, like that kind of time period?
Could be.
Because I
Land of the
remember that
Lost.
Saturday. I remember that Saturday cartoon.
In the
Saturday
70s.
That was early 74, I think.
Really? Because I was born in 73, and I don't remember. Think it was reruns, but maybe I saw reruns. Land of the Lost. Let's check this out.
There was the live action one, and then there was the cartoon, right?
The live action one's the one I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the one, the original, 74 through 77.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I was 4, it was winding up, but it was definitely being replayed when I was a kid.
And Todd says they did talk about more add-ons, new battle packs, etc. They created with delayed delivery possibility. Yeah, that's possible. Because they actually have to physically go with that BattleTech Kickstarter.
Remember the Slee Stacks?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Nothing like it. Did you guys ever see the movie?
Yes.
Land of the Lost movie?
Yeah.
That was
it was kind of more of a comedy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
But do you remember, like, they go into the room and it would have all the little colored rocks? Do you remember? Yeah, like, it was kind of cool.
I liked everything about that show.
Yeah.
Brad says, I want more vehicles and mechs. More vehicles and mechs. Yes. Right now, I'm like, my son and I, we both supported at the, what the heck was that? The larger level. The second to next highest one. So we're getting together. And so when it comes out, and the pledge manager would say, all right, we need this, and this. And one person would get everything of this, and the other person will get all these. So at least get one battle pack of everything.
Does your son do any painting, or do you paint all his stuff usually?
I paint his stuff. I tried getting him to come down here and paint. His attention span is about that of a gnat.
Okay. Do you think he ever will, or is just kind of busy with other stuff now?
Video games are more important to him. He will play the game, but he'd rather take the time to play a video game than actually paint.
Yeah, that's cool. The video games can suck up a lot of time. I just ignore them because I don't want to invest any time in that.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played a video game since my son joined the Navy in 2014, I think it was.
Okay.
2013. And 2013. And then when he graduated, he took his that was actually, we bought the Xbox, but he took it with him when he went deployed.
Because we have the original Xbox, and that's the last time we've had anything.
I have I'm sure there's more than this, but I kind of have 3 exceptions that will allow me to play video games because I don't really buy video games, even though I have a PlayStation 4 and a 3.
Okay.
I will play any Elder Scrolls that comes out. So, like, if the next Skyrim comes out, I will absolutely play it. No doubt, like without a doubt. I'll even buy a console if I have to, like just for that.
Really?
Yeah, like because I'm a diehard. I absolutely love Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, and before. And then beyond that, if it's Warhammer related and I want to play it, I will get it. And like, there's a retro game coming out called like Bolt Gun or something like that, and it's basically an old style video game that's set in like the Warhammer universe. It's based on an old video game.
Okay.
So I'm gonna probably get that. But the only other thing I would say is I really like the old video games. Like I like to play like Galaga and like the old style ones from the early '80s, like that aren't like you don't play all night. Ones. Yeah, you don't play all night. You just play like for a few minutes, right, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Like the action style games like that. And I'll play those with my daughter actually. Like we like those. But not often. But then I'm not really into anything else really.
The last video games I got into were the original Xbox, and it was the Medal of Honor series and Halo. Halo, me, I would play with my brothers, so it was like a social thing.
Halo's awesome.
For me, it was we'd have Halo parties where back when you had to put a network together with linking everybody, all the consoles together. It'd come up over here, and someone would bring a TV over, and we had our big screen TV, and
we just played split screen, and we always just did. We did do the campaign, but what we really enjoyed were just doing the battles against each other. I always like to find the sniper rifle and hunker down in somewhere and snipe people, and that was fun. But I guess the thing for me personally with video games is I always feel like after I'm done, except for like when we were doing it socially, I didn't feel like I accomplished anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't have to be accomplished anything. You know, entertainment's entertainment, whether you're watching a movie, reading a book. But I don't know. I just kind of felt like
kind of wasted your time.
Yeah. And I was all in while I was doing it, but like then 2 hours later, times, you know, how many times you did it to get through the whole the Medal of Honor game or whatever you're playing. I was like, okay, I just spent like probably 80 hours over the last how many months, and I accomplished that. And then it's like, you didn't do anything. And so then I was that kind of, when I had that feeling, I was kind of like, okay, I don't want to be doing that anymore. So then I quit. I don't know. It was weird. I just felt like I'd really wasted my life doing that.
Yeah, for me it was I really enjoyed. I don't know if you remember Battlefield 2.
Oh yeah.
That was my jam. Where I was really good at that. It's like you'd have to play, as your rank was determined how well you did in the game.
Oh, okay.
And I was always a general, which meant that I was
as good as you could get.
Yeah, there was like the four ranks of a general. I was typically the
4-star
bottom 2 general ranks.
Okay.
If I really worked hard, I'd start working my way up the ranking. And my son, he'd get on and start playing because he wanted to play Battlefield also. Instead of going on with his own account,
he'd use yours.
He'd use mine because and then he would lower my ranking down.
Yes,
get on and look at it, and go. I'd get off work and I'd come home and I'd get on. It's like, all right. It's like, what did you do? Why the hell am I a colonel? And he's like, I played your account. And I'm like, you know how much work I got to do to get it that high? Sorry.
That's funny.
So I'd be right back at it again. And I'd spend like 3 hours grinding away, killing noobs and exterminating people, and then get back, back up to where I think I was achieving stuff.
That's funny.
That was one of those games where it's like, you're fast twitch, you were good, that type of thing. And I was good at ambushing and setting
had a knack for it, yeah.
Yeah, it was like that military training come in handy.
Yeah, evidently. Yeah, I still could see myself doing the games that you play with somebody, just because then I feel like I'm doing something with my time. I'm spending time with somebody.
Yeah.
That was the other thing, I guess, with my kids we did play. It's quite a few years ago, but we had the Guitar Hero. And we would get that out, and we had so much fun. We'd play like on the medium level, and we got to where we had a couple songs where we were both, the kids and I'd be really good. We could look away from the screen. We'd be nailing it. Granted, there was 1 or 2 levels harder than, but we felt like rock stars. Yeah, it's that was fun, and their friends would come over and we'd all play together.
The good old days.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about all that stuff. That's been a long time.
I enjoyed, but I don't miss now. It's kind of the same addiction of constantly playing a video game. When my son, then I would play World of Warcraft.
Oh, sure.
That was another addicting game. I finally kicked that habit too.
I never played that. Never tried it.
I enjoyed it a lot, building characters up and then going out and either working your way against the environment or the one thing they had in the game is called the battlefield, where you would take your character and you would go into like an arena and fight other characters. So it was PvP. So you would have your characters, however you had them decked out. And I always had this one character who was my rogue, and I had him completely set up to play in the arena. And when you're in the arena, you basically would have to like capture the flag.
Okay.
And all the equipment I had on my rogue was geared towards I would sneak in because I could go basically when I'm sneak mode, it was basically invisible. The only ones that could ever see you would be like a hunter would put a star ring around it, shoot like a flare up, and it would light you up so they could see you.
Cool.
So otherwise, you're sitting there sneaking around invisible. So I just like you, but you're crawling along at snail's pace, but you're not being seen. And then once I'd pick up the flag, I would engage. I had an amulet which would increase my speed, and then I had another amulet which would increase my speed. So I kick one amulet in gear, and I'm like sprinting at double sprint speed. And then I kick the other amulet in, and then I'm doubling that. So I'm like just flying across the battlefield, and people would try to intercept you, and you just like fly by them like you're nothing.
So I can tell you didn't have any fun doing that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it so much. And then
go ahead. Sorry.
So eventually, though, they realized I was at level 39 in this battlefield, and they realized that people were getting owned because you go into the battlefield, your levels determined what area in the battlefield you were. So you'd fight if you're like say 30 through 39, you'd fight in the same battlefield because you're the same zone of rank.
I gotcha.
And then they got a bright idea. It's like as you killed people in the battlefield, you get experience. And I had my rogue sitting there at 39, and I went into the battlefield and I didn't really think about it. And I was assassinating people and backstabbing and all that fun stuff going in. And the next thing you know, it's
all
like
kinds of friends.
Yeah, and I went in, and it's like we would come out of the battlefield with a win, and all of a sudden, you step out of the battlefield, and it went ding. You're like, oh crap! I'm level 40. I'm at the bottom of the heap now. It's like all my gear that I had the best gear you could get. You do some dungeon runs and collect all this gear, and like your purples and stuff, which are your gear that no one had or very.
Okay.
Looks like Chris is back.
He's back.
Yeah, he just asked how the smoke was. I think I was telling Rusty we'd had a lot of fires in Alberta. Yeah. So we don't have too much smoke where in Calgary, but I actually have a place that I go to that I don't want to be burnt up. That's actually not that far from those fires, up towards the Drayton Valley area, which they've evacuated. 7,000 people live there, and they've evacuated the city because of the fires that are there. And the place that I kind of go to recreationally is about 30 minutes from there south, so still away from it. But no, it's kind of scary. There's a lot of fires happening, kind of like in the U.S. I always see all these like fires out west, like California, different places that are really bad every summer.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you remember about a month ago, here in Iowa where we had all the smoke.
Yeah.
It was like literally blue sky. Everything was like someone had a campfire going right next to the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could barely see, and it was all the smoke coming out from out west.
Yeah. Some years like there'll be or it's like hazy all day.
We'd have orange skies,
a lot of orange sunsets, and I'm hoping we're improving that this year, but I don't know. Hey, on an unrelated topic, do you guys do anything for like how do you hold your miniatures when you paint? Do you put them on a base? Do you put them on a thing? You just hold them?
I just hold them by their base.
That's what I do too.
Well, I tried these. It's funny. I do think these are good. If I actually am working on a single miniature, and if I think to, I might use one of these, Dan. Which I'm sure you've seen these. The painting handles,
those
like
clip things. Yeah, those are the
okay.
So
yep.
I use these a lot for like my when I did individual like French Indian War miniatures. Sometimes I would use them. I liked it so much that I bought the larger one just when it came out because I thought they were fairly cheap and good for what they cost. However, I still primarily use my fingers to hold the base.
Okay, because anytime you look on, or at least a lot of the YouTube channels that I watch, not all obviously, but they're either, if they're doing a one-off, they're always using a painting handle, but most of them, a lot of times it is just exactly what you showed.
So I did a review on this years ago, and the one thing, I don't know if everybody knows this now or does something with it, but the one thing I'll show you that I think is cool, I don't know how you'd use this, but the thing that's cool about this is for what you're buying on this, like for the amount of money, it actually has like a tripod fitting on it.
Oh, I remember you showing this in a video.
Yeah, and so you could actually, why would you want to put this on a tripod? I'm not sure why you would want this, this tripod mount for something, but like, selfie stick or whatever, I'm not sure. But the very fact that it's not just a solid piece of plastic, but they actually have it that way, to me is actually very cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And I don't know if the more later one that I got, the bigger one, has that or if they took that away.
So you could hook your...
it does. Even the bigger one does.
Yeah, so you hook up the miniature on the tripod, and you could just sit there and just put the little fine details on it without touching the miniature.
Yeah.
And so it's a stable base, and I can see that.
Huh,
that's actually very cool.
Yeah, so very useful then.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people, of course, that's different. Like people are painting armies of, that don't have the bases. They're going to put them on like a 60 mil base, or they, why am I blanking on that? Where they put like 6 of them on one base or 4 of them on one base. And so when they paint them, a lot of times then they put those on a bottle top or a wine cork or whatever, because they don't have they just have, like the Perry brothers, those have just this tiny little base that you couldn't hold them unless you glued them to a 20 mil square base or round. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh. And so, I have to apologize. Yeah,
go ahead, Dan. No, you finish up. Sorry,
No, I was just going to say. So I always wondered. I've never even actually did that, because even when I did that unit of Perry miniatures from AWI just here a month or two ago, I put them on 20 mil square bases because that's how I'm going to use them. But if I ever multi-basing, that's the word I was looking for. But if I ever did that, then I would have to, and I've seen some people, I always wonder, a lot of times you see like the British people or for people from the UK will have them blue tacked on. And I don't know what blue tack they use, but a few times I've tried to do that.
They just fall off.
And they don't stay on at all.
Blue tack doesn't work for me. Like some people, me neither. The brands that I've used does not work.
Best thing I found is to use white glue, because then it holds. and then you can pop it right off, and then glue it onto that.
Easy peels off, no problem.
Easily peels off. Yeah,
as long as it's touched wood or.
That's how I paint. Like when I do like at a crew for a howitzer for my bolt action. Since they aren't on their round base, I put them right on the base with the howitzer. So then I do just use white glue, and that works pretty good. But
hey, Palmer, I do have to expand my screen out a little bit there.
I do have to apologize. I'm going to get a word in here for a second. I do have to apologize. No, Dan, it's fine. Hey, both of you guys, I just need to say that I do have to apologize that I've been a horrible host tonight. I don't know what it was, but I've been so focused on the painting, and the last show Rusty hosted and was doing so well at going through the comments that I just did not actually even think to just click on the comments and put them up on screen like we normally do. So for those of you that have lasted this long, for those of you that have rewatched this later, I do apologize for not done that. And so, so that wasn't intentional. I just got really, focused in on my painting tonight. So,
well, that's good though. I mean,
this is Palmer tonight.
Yeah, kind of.
But you're actually getting into your painting. That's good.
All right. Yeah, just at the expense of ignoring our guests. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
Get some light over here. There we go. So this is what I did tonight.
And those were just primed black when you started tonight, right?
Silver.
You've done that silver. Much? Really?
Yeah. That's just batch painting, real quick. You do one detail, move on to the next. One detail, move on to the next. Just slam them down.
I know. I can't go that fast because I'm like too anal or whatever. Where I'm like, okay, no, that's not neat enough. Got to go back, doing that strap again.
Basically, all this is base colors put on, and then I put a wash over top of them. And so, if I have time tomorrow, then I'll go over top the parts that I washed, and then pick out all the details.
Oh, it looks good.
That's the time-consuming part of everything.
Mm-hmm. And your stuff always looks amazing. Like when I come over to your place and see it in person, your painting's outstanding. You're just so much faster than me.
If I'm really trying to work hard on something to put as much detail, it's like I always remember Blue Table painting.
Mm-hmm.
They had a scale of 1 to 10. It's like tabletop quality is going to be like a 3 to 5. Yeah, your heroes are going to be 5s on a tabletop quality. And I always try to my batch painting is usually hovers around a 5 for everything I do, and then I save that higher stuff for like special models and everything. Mm-hmm. Then if I get a special model, then I'm going to crank out some details and stuff.
Yeah. That's my problem. I have to do everything basically to like a 9. I mean, I know I can always do something better, but I can't not do that, and so that just takes me too long. But
yeah, I always look. That's an interesting thing that could be a topic in itself in a way. But is when you're doing an army, do you want everybody to be a 9, or do you want to be?
Or do you want the army to be a 9 or an 8?
Yeah.
I do 11. Mine's always 11.
Well,
and then
I know.
Then you're forced to have
that.
Then you're forced. The general has to be a 10, and that's a lot of work. And then it's like exponentially gets harder and harder. It's like you got this much work to do. Let's say a 3 to 5, and then you get this much to do. Let's say the 5s and the 6s, and you're off screen. Type of thing. But
if you allow your painting scale to have an 11, then you can turn it up to 11.
When I always like to say, when you hit the 8, 9, and 10, Dan, when you start hitting 8, 9, and 10, you are now looking at. Are you entering the Golden Demon Award painting?
No, and I know that, but the problem is that's just the way I'm wired. It's like I can't. I don't know. Because I want to be like really proud of how they look, and I want in a year or two. Granted, my painting's always getting a little bit better, but I enjoy that part. I do it for myself, but I also know I could be quicker if I wanted to. I mean, I know some techniques that would speed me up. It's just I'm not happy with that.
Yeah, it's how much time do you have? It's like if you want, I've learned it a long time ago, is that when most people are putting an army on the table and all they do is prime it, or not even prime it at all, and then when you give them a level 3 paint job, you're a miracle worker.
Well, and it'll be fun to see when I do my 15 millimeter American Civil War, or my 10 millimeter War Master.
Yeah,
I'll be doing some. I'll be doing I think I will look at each unit as a miniature, as opposed to each miniature being a miniature.
Yeah, when it comes to 15, it's like you're not putting a lot of details in them.
Well, there's not that much detail there.
Yeah. Rusty's Miracles. It's the Unpainted Miniatures Ministries is Rusty's new.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a public service announcement. When your miniatures are unpainted or they're just prime, and I get you to a level 3, we're gonna see miracles.
Your army will fight better because it's painted.
This is truly a miracle.
But when I try to paint to a higher standard, though, I'm actually saving money because, if I was pumping armies out, man, that get expensive.
Yeah.
So
don't do that to me while I'm trying to swallow some alcohol.
Well, gentlemen, on that note,
yeah, it's 11:01.
We're past point, and Dan needs to get back out to the field.
Well, I got to get to bed because it's up with the sun. Hopefully, it's not.
Oh, you're
raining.
not. I guess you're not landing.
We're supposed to have thunderstorms tomorrow morning, so.
But you were sometimes in the recent shows going back.
Yeah,
out.
Usually I go out and check livestock, but I'm kind of wrapping that part up. I don't have to go out at midnight anymore, so that's helpful. Just getting up crack of dawn to get chores done so I can start planting if it didn't rain overnight. Yep. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, is there another show, or is this? Or when's this?
Oh, we got another one.
Do another one, yeah, for sure.
We're probably going to have 2 more.
I would say so.
I couldn't remember when the season ended, so I was just.
It's a little up in the air usually, but we like to do close to 15. I think usually, and we got a little slower start this year. I think.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Partly from me, most likely. I was probably the cause of it.
Oh, Palmer.
He was so wound up with his new fancy
toy
office that he just didn't want to leave the office in his leather-bound chair. That was the problem.
I love it.
I thought it was the motorcycle. We couldn't get him off his motorcycle, so he could.
He hadn't got that yet. He was trying to.
Night riding. Yeah. Okay.
I think it being in the fancy office and staring at the wall and being frozen with just paralysis is probably what it's more like. Not getting
paralysis of analysis.
Staring at the wall and thinking about the 20 things I have to do.
That's real. It's real.
So
we'll be back on my channel on. I say this is 11th, so it'll be the 25th. We'll be back on my side.
Sounds good.
There you go.
And I'll be in charge of the little clicker. So
yeah,
hey, you're a lot more responsible.
I was bad tonight. Like if you were in, like I don't want to take too much more time, but Rusty, you have to admit, like 2 years ago, I would have been all over that if you did it. Like if you had done that, I would have been like, well, you know, like we gotta do that.
You're
like,
right.
Now, I'm just like, you know.
Hey, squirrel.
Must have been that Coors Light, I suppose.
I did mention it a few times, and it's like you were so in the zone. I was like, I'm not gonna bother him.
I kept thinking Palmer was thinking it was Rusty running the show.
I actually did at one point. I actually did. Yeah, I actually was. Even though I'm the one that let you guys in, I'm like, I said, Rusty. I think we've got some comments at one point. I didn't even realize it.
You got the clicker.
Yeah, whatever. So okay, onwards and
upwards. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you in a couple.
Okay, take care.